a few times now you've mentioned about this idea of kind of manipulating the senses, and I guess we have been, and I guess because coming from a food background, you're super aware of this idea of not wanting to manipulate people, or at least, for us, I guess our approach is to look at how augmentations or changes in the sensory environment can in some way influence people's perception of flavor. But I guess as chefs, you tend to want to steer away from this idea of manipulation. It doesn't really have a very good connotation, maybe making yesterday's or last week's fish a little fresher by putting, let's say, the sounds of the sea on, and doing something like that wouldn't really be the goal. The goal would be, I guess, for us to enhance what is already kind of great produce in some way. Why is it that people will accept manipulation in one kind of art form so readily? What is it about magic that allows us that we want to be deceived? We don't want to when it comes to sitting down in a restaurant, but when it comes to sitting down and being entertained by a magician, we willingly want to be deceived. Why?
I mean, I'm not sure whether there's that much of a difference, because although maybe it's just semantics, because of course what you're doing as a chef is very similar to what you're doing as a magician. I mean, you are deceiving the audience or the diner. You just don't call it deception when you put the food on a plate in a beautiful way. You are playing with their expectations, and you're manipulating the way that they will afterwards enjoy their meal. And in some ways, magicians are doing exactly the same thing. But I think intuitively we think, well, we don't like to be deceived, and magic is a very weird art form in that you are watching someone who's blatantly lying to you. I mean, when I'm performing a magic trick, I'm very open about the fact that I am deceiving my audience, and yet people enjoy that. But I think it's the same in a lot of art forms. When you go to the cinema, you go and watch a film, you know that it's not real, and you are allowing yourself to be deceived. And I can imagine it's the same in a dining experience as well. When you've got your pork sausage, well, you want to be deceived because you don't really want to see the pig on your plate. So I think I don't think it's the case that we don't like to be deceived. When you ask someone, well, do you like being lied to, or do you like being deceived? Well, the intuitive answer is no. But actually, the more that we learn about how the human brain works, we've also come to realize that there's lots of situations in which we are completely willing to accept certain forms of deception. If you think about, most social interactions are based on a certain level of untruths as well. We often use little lies to facilitate a lot of our social interactions. And so it doesn't mean that deception has got, and manipulation has got very negative connotations, and because they can be used to exploit people. But in actual fact, a lot of the time we use these forms of manipulations to enhance people's experiences. So I don't think deception needs to be considered as being a purely negative construct.